Greetings once again, my friends, and welcome back to Covenant of Grace TV. Today, we have another prophetic soundbite for you. We're going to finish our series we've been covering in these soundbites on the doctrine of human suffering. This is part 8. We're going to talk about the biblical reasons for suffering, and we're going to wrap this up today. You know our suffering definition. Suffering is a product of the fall of man in the Garden of Eden. And we've told you it's the consequence of human sin against Yahweh. Suffering implies overcoming pain, distress, sickness, poverty, or loss for the believer. Let's recap the first 7 we talked about. Number 1, we says to learn obedience to Yahweh's divine plan. Number 2, we talked about to develop patience and endurance. Number 3, we said to resolve the angelic conflict. Number 4, we talked about suffering for righteousness' sake. Number 5, we talked about suffering due to gluttony and diet. Number 6, we talked about self-induced suffering from poor decision-making and actions, refusal to conform to the will of God. Number 7, we talked about suffering to provide orientation to the grace of God. Our final teaching today is going to be number 8. We suffer to help others when they suffer. Galatians 6, verses 1 and 2. Brethren, if a man be overtaken in a fault, ye which are spiritual, restore, such a one in the spirit of what? Meekness, right? Considering thyself, lest thou also be tempted. Number 2, second verse, bear ye one another's burdens, and so fulfill the law of Christ. Well, this law of Christ is love, the greatest commandment. We should love one another. And if we love one another, we bear each other's burdens. Sometimes, our own suffering prepares us to help and show compassion for others when they suffer. The scripture teaches us what to bear one another's burden, right? Long suffering is a fruit of the spirit, bearing injuries for a long time, mental or physical. So we need to tie some things together here, and we're going to do that. We get into our key principles. But love, as we've talked about, love is self-giving and self-sacrifice for the highest good of others. So we're going to talk about this in our key principle here, all right? Love, self-giving and self-sacrifice for the highest good of others. Let's look at 1 Corinthians 13, 1 through 13. Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels and have not charity, have not love, I am become as a sound, excuse me, has become as a sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. And though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith so that I could remove mountains and have not love, I am nothing. We're nothing without love. And though I bestow all my goods to feed the poor, and though I give my body to be burned and have not love, it profited me nothing. Look at this. Charity, love, suffereth long. Okay, you see the correlation. Love is a fruit of the spirit. Love suffereth long. Let's talk about this for a little bit. The greatest act of love was when Christ hung on the cross. Okay, love means sacrifice. Love means suffering for another person or for a cause. So we can conclude here, love suffereth long. Love is long suffering. It is a characteristic of God. It is an attribute of God. It is an attribute of the fruit of the Spirit. Love is kind. Charity envy not. Charity vaunted not itself. It is not puffed up. Do not behave itself unseemly. Seeking not her own. Is not easily provoked. Think it not evil. Rejoice not in iniquity, but rejoice in truth. Bear it all things. Believe it all things. Hope it all things. Endure it all things. Love never faileth. I repeat, love never faileth. This is the power of love. But whether there be prophecies, they shall what? Fail. Whether there be tongue, they shall cease. Whether there be knowledge, it shall vanish away. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. But when that which is perfect is come, then that which is in part shall be done away. When I was a child, I spake as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. For now we see through a glass darkly. But then, face to face, now I know in part, but then I shall know even as I am known. And now abideth what? Faith, hope, and love. These three. But the greatest of these is love. Thank you, my friends, for staying with us through this series. May God bless you and keep you till we have another opportunity to bring you another word. Thank you very much.